Hello Math 3. This will be our first YouTube video for Unit 8. We're going to finish up Lesson 3. So there's this cartoon that's called Masha and the Bear. My little nephew who's 4 watches it every morning when he's over at the house when my mom's taking care of him. This is Masha, little blonde Russian girl, goofy. She hangs out with this big old bear. Every now and then she gets visited by somebody. The somebody is this other girl who looks just like her, but has glasses. That's Masha. That's Dasha. My nieces who are in elementary school describe her as a know-it-all. She just seems to know more stuff because I think she's from the city. She's more from the countryside. So we're going to talk about Dasha. So get out a piece of paper. You may want to pause if you don't have a notebook or at least 5 pieces of paper next to you. So let's talk about Dasha. We're going to capitalize it this way because as we're doing stuff with triangles, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 different steps. First, we're going to draw the angle. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about one of the sides. The side is always going to be A, usually 99% of the time. We're going to want to check if it's less than B. If it is, we can continue. If it's not, then we can stop the problem. We're usually going to be able to continue, by the way. Then we're going to want to deal with H. So we're going to have this angle drawn. It will make more sense once we start doing the problem. We're going to drop it from the top. The top being the top of the triangle. So after we have that, usually you're going to see me redraw that triangle because it's going to get busy over here. I'm going to try to space things out so you can see it pretty good on your screen. So we're going to do that. Later, our last step in Dasha will be to use this. And we're going to compare it to H. What we want to get is this. If we can get that, we can get A smaller than H, then we can continue and get an answer. If we can't, then everything messes up. So now I'm going to switch to the corners so that we can use our boards. We're going to be drawing a bunch of triangles and using the law of sines, which we've already done since Math 2. Just orient this a bit. Pretty good, and you will notice me checking to see if I'm in the frame. The goal of this video is to do about 3 problems. We're going to start by drawing all of the possible triangles that we can get in this scenario. It's going to be 4 of them, by the way. So the first one, the one we like. Usually when you were doing law of sines, you would have an angle that looks like this. You would have something bigger than 90 degrees in a triangle. Okay. By the way, I know some of you like your titles, so again, you know you're in Math 3. We're on Unit 8. Remember that there are only 4 lessons because they're very dense and more complicated on our advanced trigonometry that you're doing. It's an advanced trig and pre-calculus thing that we're doing. This is around day 5 of us doing this, 5 or 6. We're going to be working with the law of sines, with options, different options of how things need to be done to find all the possible solutions, or if we can even get a solution. And this is, as you know, it's an advanced thing. We can also get a triangle that looks like this. And we're going to drop this one going to the right. We'll extend this down, we'll keep it going until it connects. So you can get something like this if this one is smaller than 90. Another option, if we have the same angle, but let's say instead of going to the right, we're going to go to the left. And here you're going to want to use your pencil. So far, if you notice me writing in black, you're going to want to write in your pencil. Have colors ready. If you don't, by the way, this one, since it seems to be small, that's a less than, should be not greater than 90. That one is a less than 90. Okay. Perfect case scenario, which is where we started our unit, is you go straight down, and that's what you get right here being less than 90. These are the 4 possibilities of things when it actually works out, you can get an answer. If it's not one of these, then it didn't work and we have no solutions. So we're going to be checking to see if we have 0 solutions, if we have 1 solution, which is what you did in Math 2, or if you have 2 solutions, which never showed up in Math 2, or we never told you about that. Now we're actually going to check to see how do we get these 2 versions, which would be this or this, okay? So let's do, as review, one of the ones that is a Math 2 type of thing. Okay, so number 1, let's write out all our givens. You're not going to be given a picture though, we have to figure that out and construct it. But it's not too bad if you follow by drawing our angle and doing our dasha steps. Okay, so that little smarty pants girl who's from the city. Okay, so we have these 3 things. So we're doing our dasha step. Dasha starts with da. Okay, so let's draw our angle. If we draw this angle, this is this type of angle, right? 105. This is going to be my R. Usually I want to use A, B, and C. Doesn't really matter. In this case, you're going to notice we're not going to really get stuck. We'll see how well our markers hold up. If you have the case where the angle is greater than 90, you are guaranteed 1 answer. So we're guaranteed 1 solution, because this is the Math 2 thing. Only 1 solution. So we're going to set up our triangle. We know that it's just going to be regular. Just connect it. Okay, there we go, 105. So R, big R, has R Junior, Rodrigo Junior, me, my dad, me. Okay, and it says RST, so that means S is over here. Little s is on this side. T is up here. T has little daughter right here. Little t. Okay, S is 6, R is 9. Here are the 2 Rodrigos going across from each other. And then we have S is going across. So the mom is going to go this way, right? So we can set up our equation. So we're going to go sine 105 over 9 is equal to, I don't know that one, and that's what I want to solve for. This is an S, by the way, not a 5. And we have 6 down here. You know how to do the cross multiplying. We'll remind you. I'll erase a little bit of our guaranteed thing so I don't have to switch boards. This type of math that you're doing, this is where you're doing your essays. We need to see like your paragraph, your sentences. You don't indent, you're going to get lost if you try to cram it all in one spot. Save my blue, I'm just going to go back to black. So I'm going to have 9 sine S equals 6 sine 105. I know I can divide by 9. I know I can divide by 9. I'm going to go, I have a calculator here. I'm going to make sure I punch things in correctly. 9 sine, actually 6 sine 105. I divide by 9 and I get sine S is equal to this decimal thing. And if I run it round correctly, you should get this. Okay? You shouldn't get a negative. I'm going to go grab a graphing calculator real quick. If you got a negative at that spot, I want you to turn on your graphing calculator, hit mode. You want to go down to the third thing. If you see radians in black with white letters, you're going to move over to the right on degrees and hit enter. You want degrees, okay? Second quit. That's why we got that positive. Let's draw our unit circle. I think this still has enough room for us to be able to use it. We're going to draw that circle. We know it goes from 1 up here and -1 down here, right? That should sound vaguely familiar. Well, we got up to 64 cents, a little bit more than halfway. Here is 64.40. We connect it from the middle to the edge, drop it from the top. Here is a triangle. But notice I can also go this way, right? Because usually I'm going to want to go on various scenarios. The thing I just erased said there's only one answer. So I don't really care about him, I just care about this theta. That's the one I'm going to use back here. That means I'm going to go sine, inverse sine, which if you like already have the one with the yellow button that I sent her, you're gonna press that. If you borrowed one with the blue one or on your phones, press that blue one and go second sine 0.6440. You're going to get S is equal to 40 and 9 cents for degrees. That would go down here, right? 40, 0.9. By the way, what we want to do on these problems, I didn't write that down because we're limited on our board space. We are solving the triangle. So we have a little checklist. We want to know what all three angles are, and we want to know what all three sides are. We have two angles. How would we go about getting the third one? Well, we would do that, because you guys know what they add up to, right? You know they add up to 180. We're going to subtract off 40.09. At this point, I would know I would be hearing some of you guys like Fancy School or Neptune or quick on the calculators. So do 180 minus 105 minus 40.09. I got 39.91. That would go up here, so 34.91. Okay, that should match up to little t. So we're going to make another equation. We're going to go back here. This one is jam-packed with information. So now we have three angles. I can check this off. I have those. I'm almost done with my solving of the triangle. I already know two of the sides. Now let's get the other one. Well, I want sine 34.91 over its daughter, which is t. Let's use the original ones, the 105 and the 9. So the 105 goes on the top with the 9. Something's missing there, right? Law of sines means you need sine on both sides, usually on the top. Let's do some cross multiplication. We're going to do t times sine 105 equals 9 sine 34.91. Let me switch this out. Let's divide both sides by sine 105. And we're going to get, and again, if you want to try it by yourself because it's making sense, pause the video. That's what you should be doing on these types of things. And then press play after, fast forward if you don't want to listen to the whole thing. Just want to see what the answer is, if it's making sense. If you don't get that answer, then go back. So we have 533, which would go down here. And check. We have all three sides. We have all three angles. This is the first case, the simplest thing. Now let's go to our second one. I'm going to give you a different scenario. We won't have the triangle to begin with, but we can make one. And if we use our Dasha steps, so D-A-S-H-A, we're going to be able to solve these problems. You can space things out. You should probably have finished one whole page to be filled in. You should be on your second one. You need more paper, pause, go grab some. So number 2, again, we're solving the triangle. We want all three angles, all three sides. This time it's ABC. Usually we like using ABC. Easier to label stuff with, just like a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, so the first step, notice I didn't even do the rest of Dasha on that one, because I know how to do it. I don't have to check anything. Dasha is for when you have to check stuff because it looks weird. Okay, it looks off the little girl has the glasses, but looks like the other one. Okay, so we draw our angle of 54, something like that. Here's A, this is the 54. Okay, now I'm going to switch the color, get blue or green, something like that. Don't use the red, reserve the red for something else in a second. Okay, because this blue one, I know can be straight down, it could be a little bit to the left or to the right. I'm going to draw it hanging out to the right. And put B, this is the corner, this attaches somewhere over here. I don't know if it can attach. Let's just put it to the side and check. Okay, A, its daughter is over here, so little a is equal to 6. Little b, which would be on this side, is our 8. Now let's actually do our S step, which S is for sides. What we usually want to do is we want to write down if this is true, which it is. So therefore we can continue. If we are able to go through all of our dasha steps, we're going to refer back to this stuff in blue. Okay, now I'm going to switch off to red, because as we wrote down when I was looking at the smartboard when I was projecting that, we're going to drop it from the top. So the top's right there, let's drop it down. This will be H, not hypotenuse, but height. Okay, so H is for height. Well, let's redraw that triangle. It's a little bit busy over there. Because maybe we need this number, maybe we don't. And we need to figure out what would the height be if you have a 54-degree angle over here and this were 8. Well, you should know by now how to label this. This is opposite. And all of you, I believe, know that this is the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse H, height H. And A down here. If you don't have them memorized, last day we were in class, I think Rajani answered this one, and she told me that this was the sine. If any of you forget, you have your sonic thing with the crash and the toad thing. As for sonic, it's opposite over adjacent, but I have an angle 54. The opposite set is labeled with H. The hypotenuse is 8. Let's put it over 1, because that makes it cross multiplication. It's already set up for you to put stuff into the calculator, so let's put it into the calculator. We're going to do 8 sine 54, hit enter, close those parentheses. Good practice. It wouldn't have mattered right here, but later on it might. And I'm going to try to remember so I don't have you erased. What I was going to write down is correct. You just want some room more to the right side, okay? You're going to see why in a second. So I got 647. Okay. So Dasha, I need my A step, right? So here's my A step. I'm going to use this A again right here. This needs to go down here. But notice this is bigger than that, meaning my 6 is smaller. You're trying to buy something costs $6.47. You only have $6, you don't have enough. Okay? So notice you don't have enough over here means that there is no solution to this problem. There is no way that if you have an angle of 54 and the side to the next to it is 8 and it's the other one dangling over here, if I have it over here dangling straight down, that's 647, just like on my marker. Notice there's a little gap, that's the 47 cents that's missing right there. So if that doesn't work, if you move more to the right, that's even worse. And if you scoot it in, that's still not going to be able to reach. There's no way that it's going to attach down here on the black. So no solution. Seems like we failed, but that's okay. It's just like when they're doing trials right now for medicine. They're going to try something that doesn't work, go on to the next thing. We need to be able to adapt. And you guys are able to adapt. You've been able to do it since I've known you, for those who I've known more than 1 year. So let's go on to the next one. The next one is going to be the longer one. It's going to be the one where you're going to use 2 pieces of paper probably for the next one. So make sure as you do these problems, you realize it's a solve the triangle kind of problem, dedicate 1 full page to it. Okay? You can always recycle the paper after we're done with it. And again, the units from now until we finish up, these are the ones you're going to want to keep either for college math classes or even the physics. This will come in handy. Okay, so problem number 3. After this one, we'll end the video. You can comment. You do have those quizzes you have to do on the Google Classroom. I'm going to be calling and bugging you in a second to make sure you do that. Triangle again. Again, usually we use A, B, and C for these things, just to better keep track of them. If you notice it's not A, B, or C, that may be a hint that it's one of the easier problems like the first one we did. So do our dasha steps. Let's draw our angle. It's an acute angle because it's smaller than 90. Here's my 35 degrees. I put my 20 over here. Switch colors. The blue may still have some ink. I'm going to dangle my wrecking ball over to the side because I don't know if it's going to be to the right, straight up and down, or a little bit to the left. What I do know is that A goes across from its daughter, which is 17 in this case, so this is little a, this is B. We didn't even talk about C yet, but it's up here, little c's down here. We're going to need those this time, so let's write them in. Okay, now we're going to do our side step. So for the sides, we're going to write down, that's E by the way, we want A is less than B. I'm just going to write it up here to use all of the area of our board. A is 17, the B is 20, so this is good, and I'm going to use this in a second. I'm going to refer to it when I get back to the last step in Dasha. Let me get my red, because I want to drop it from the top. Here's the top, drop it down, right there, that's H. H for the height. Okay, so if I actually did that, if that was the triangle we got, we would get H right here. We would have a 35, and notice a 20. Notice it's the same setup as back here. We'll still label it. Good practice for that test coming up some point next week. You'll be doing it online. We'll talk about the details and how you'll turn things in. Okay, so it's sine again. I'm going to get sine 35, just checking to make sure I'm still in the frame. H over 20, put a 1, because if you have two fractions, you can cross multiply proportions, and we're going to get H equals, and this time we'll be able to do more stuff, which may or may not be to your liking. Well, at least you'll be prepared with knowing how to figure out all the different possibilities, the different options that we have. We got 1147. If it costs 1147 and you have $17, you have enough money to go to the store, but don't go too much to the store. Only necessary groceries at the moment, okay? Want all of you to be safe and want us to be able to see each other again in a month, hopefully. So notice we have this, all the numbers are lined up. This is if you go a little bit further that way, a little bit to the left, you have this sandwich. So this is a good sandwich that we have with numbers. Good sandwich of numbers, which if you have a sandwich, usually, you're gonna have two pieces of bread, right? You have the two slices of bread, the meat's inside. Here's the meat, 2 slices of bread. That means I have 2 options, and each one of these is going to be a solution. So now let's draw out those solutions that we're going to obtain. So let's erase this other board. By the way, this is my second attempt doing this because I didn't turn up the volume the first time. But you're going smoother and things should be more legible than the first attempt. So let's draw that 35-degree angle like that. Still A. B is 20. We have our wrecking ball, but now I actually know what to do with it. I'm gonna, instead of going straight down, we're gonna go to the right. Because these types of problems, you're gonna go to the right or the left, and then we'll just fix this until it works. The length of the blue is still A equals 17. Capital B is now fixed. This is where the wrecking ball was. Little c on the bottom, big one on the top. Okay. These two match. Here's the kid who belongs to this adult who's watching from across the room and not being a responsible parent. So we're going to go sine 35 over 17 sine B, which I want to know how big that angle is, over 20. Okay, so that's using all my blue information. So to make sure, you may want to be writing in pencil in case we mess up and we need to erase anything. So we cross multiply. Most of us like seeing the variable on the left, so I chose to do that cross product to the left. Now 20 sine 35. Notice I haven't reached for my calculator. Minimize this, that way if you're not the best at rounding, or if you tend to make calculator mistakes, you can minimize that. So far, hopefully I haven't made a mistake. If not, one of you can text me later and let me know that I did that. When I do this, I get a decimal. The decimal I got this time was 67.48. Okay. Now I'm going to use my erase, that I can erase this, to leave a gap. You should know why I'm leaving a gap. If not, you'll find out in about 30 seconds or so. Let's draw that on a unit circle. It's going to help us to organize and think about how angles work. We know it goes out to 1 and to -1, right? Let's get our blue back again. We want it to go up to 67 cents. This is more than half. Here is 67.48. We know we can connect it from the center of the circle out that way, then drop it straight down. Here's one possible answer, which would be my first option, right angle. The other thing that could happen, I could go from the origin out this way, then drop it straight down. Here is theta prime, the sibling over there. I'm out of the, let me twist this a little bit, there you go. I'll have to remember to twist it back. So these are my two options. Well, let's go over here. Hopefully you know what it's for. And for some of you, you're literally going to press a blue button. The rest of us, the yellow one, or something else that's on your phone. We're going to go inverse sine of 6748 with that decimal in there. What I was given was 42 degrees and like 44 cents. This would be my theta, right? I know this because if I have my initial side right here and I start going this way, 42 degrees would be there because it's less than 90 degrees over here. But I want to know, how do I get to the other one? So if I have the same initial side but I turned all the way that way, well, I'd add like 90 degrees more, right? Or in other words, because you know half the circle, you could also go 180 minus 42, 44. Let's see what that is, because there's various ways to go about this. So I got 137.56 for theta prime. The other thing you could have done, notice that this is a 90-degree angle right there. We could have added 90. Let me make sure that's going to work. Yeah, I think that will work. Possibly. No, it's not going to work on that side because it's not 90 degrees. We'll stick to not 90 degrees here. We'll stick to that version. In this scenario, there's only one way. Sometimes you will have more than one. We'll stick to this one. It's simpler. Again, that's noticing that half of the circle is 180. I used up 42 and some change right there, so how much is left over right here for all of this green section? It'd be that. Because what's left to figure out, and this, by the way, this is going to be our option number 2, which we haven't talked about yet. This is our option number 1. So going back to what we do have, let's label some stuff on this picture. We know that this one is right now 42.44. How do we get that one up there? Okay, that should be something very straightforward. So we do 180 minus 35 minus 42.44 will give us the missing angle. That's 102.56. So 102.56 goes here. That has to match up to the bottom. Let's scoot this over. Let's go and solve that on this board. So we're going to end up doing, so let's write down the equation for the orange. Sine of 102.56 over c, little c. Pick any of the other ones. Let's pick the original one. Sine 35 over 17. I'm doing this because what if we rounded things off a little bit weird? We would still get a consistent answer with the rest of us. We cross multiply, we get c sine 35 equals 17 sine 102.56. Now move up to this way so you can see all the stuff. We divide because sine 35 is some weird decimal that you get with a calculator. Something involving triangles or that unit circle thing. Okay. And then we go 17 sine 102.56. Close the parentheses. If not, you're going to get an error or going to get a weird answer. Sine 35, close the parentheses. I got 28.93 for little c. I'm going to write that down over here. 28.93. Down there. I have solved one of the possible triangles. Okay, to let you catch up, even though I know you can erase and stuff. Let's leave the unit circle. let's leave option number 1 here. And I'm going to have to recalculate something because what the angle that was right here, I'm going to need that for option number 2. So we're going to draw our second possibility. We're going to make a triangle, but we're going to make it bigger because it's so slanted and has a weird skinny angle that if we don't, it's not going to turn out right. So we're going to want our 35-degree angle, make it very long this way. It's the same length as this, we're just like zooming in, okay? And then we're going to connect it up this way, okay? There, in one shot. So again, this is still 35 degrees. This is still A. B is still 20, but I'm zoomed in, so it looks longer than that black side over there. A is 17. B has been fixed, but instead of going straight down or going to the right, I'm going to go to the left and slant it that way. Big C is up here. Little c is down here. Just going to do a quick calculation because I know that 180 minus 4246 is whatever this angle is right here, which is 137.56. Okay, so we have two pairs that match up. Let's get little c. We know 180 minus 137.56 minus 35 doesn't leave a lot. We're going to have a very small angle up there, but it will still be able to be put together. Made a calculator error. 744. So this angle appears 744. Notice this is the biggest angle, by the way. That's the biggest side. The medium size angle, the medium size side. The smallest angle is going to give us the smallest side, so I better get an answer that's smaller than 17. So let's put that right here. So we're going to do sine, and we're matching this up going down, of 744 over little c is going to be equal to sine 35 over 17. I'll do the cross multiplying on the other board and switch markers so we can all see. So after doing some cross multiplication, I'm going to try to leave that c on the left side. You don't have to. Most of you at this level, remember, you're sort of advanced now. Should be able to keep track of it. If you don't feel so comfortable, just keep it on the left side, just for consistency's sake. What was the other angle? 744, making sure that that decimal is still there. Again, this is a number next to something else being multiplied, so I divide to get rid of it. Divide to get rid of it. Cancels over here. I go to the calculator, making sure to close parentheses to put that 7.74. Sine 35 on the bottom. I got 384. So now I have my two options. Switching back to the green right here. This is 384. So the two options, if you're given the stuff that's in black and blue, if you're given an angle of 35 with the one right next to it 20, the one across from it 17, the only two possibilities that can happen is you end up with the 42 and the 102 as angles and the 28 on the bottom if you slant it to the right. If you instead wanted to slant it to the left, which is a weird looking triangle, could show up somewhere, I don't know, you'd get 7.44 on the top, 384 on the bottom. Okay, so this was, again, the law of sines with options. It's more advanced. So sometimes we can get 0 answers like on problem number 2. We can get 1 answer like you got in math 1 and on your other problems, or we can get 2 options, okay? So comment below, text me, and I'll be making another one with a subsequent video to see if you can get these solutions correct. And tell me if you're able to hear me